everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Now Talk, where we discuss current affairs and also talk about how we can do some casual good in our society. My name is Natasha, and today I have with me XY from the Hidden Good as well, Michelle and Afzal. Say hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So today, the thing that we will be reacting to is actually, I don't know whether you guys heard of the 早报 forum letter on the state of the migrant workers. Okay, the gist of the letter is about how this guy thinks that the migrant workers in the dormitories are actually to blame for their own mistake. Because about how the COVID-19 cases are majority in the dormitories. Yeah, so there's been a lot of controversy around this topic lah. So this guy wrote in to 早报, which is a Chinese newspaper, about the plight. And I think the thing that really struck me was about how he said that Singapore has already done their part for these workers, and then he just kind of pushes the blame to them. Yeah, and then he brought up some examples of how his friend rented a house to this migrant worker, and then realized that the house was in a very bad state, and then he had to leave the house empty for 2 years before selling it. Yeah, so this is the article. Yeah, so I just want to ask you, what were your thoughts when this whole issue first arose?
Actually, personally, I was quite neutral about it. As in, as long as we want to start doing the testing and doing the testing in a longer or a wider scope, I think it's bound to happen. And if we are aware of the living conditions in which the migrant workers are in, which is dormitory style, that means one room has like 10 beds minimally, that kind of thing. If they are tested and there is some of them who have but are asymptomatic, right, then it's just going to be a natural part of the process that they will be found out or discovered eventually.
I'm also pretty neutral. I think same as Michelle. I think having such comments on the living conditions that they are in, to me, quite untimely, because this has always been the case. And I think it's just jumping on the bandwagon right now to talk about it more.
It comes to the question of who is taking responsibility, what responsibility are we willing to take. But to just say it as, it's they dirty lah. See how the responsibility just like gone already. He's saying that I have no part to play in making this better.
I really think it's not right for Singapore residents to be blaming the large amount of cases on them, because ultimately it is true it is our fault who went we went overseas and then we brought back the virus, or maybe Singapore residents themselves when they are returning from work or studies overseas, this line of us and them again. How the government kind of classifies dormitory cases and community cases, and then it kind of really creates the divide that the dormitory cases are not part of our community, but I think community is where the cases actually first entered the dormitories. Have you all heard about the Robertson Incident of expats drinking in broad daylight and stuff? I think a lot of them question how come expats can be loitering outside when Singaporeans ourselves have social distancing officers. So what were your thoughts on this incident?
So if I'm not wrong, most of the people are working as civil servants. Many of them were deployed as social distancing officers, and I think I asked a lot of them actually. So where do you all patrol? Where do you all function? Ang Mo Kio lah, Bishan lah, Jurong, Woodland, Yishun, all the neighborhood. That's with them. Yio Chu Kang, you go which side? And it's almost always the HDBs, never the landed estates. And this was way before this Robertson Key thing happened. Because I guess there was more of the general income divide kind of approach. But what do you guys think about the expat versus so-called locals?
Naturally, as Singaporeans, we will try to abide to the rules. The expats coming over here, their main objective it's most likely just for work. In that sense, they may have the mindset of whatever I do, I'm protected under the law with my employer. In that whole income divide thing, I think the issue is always there, but and it could be a factor. in this case.
When they do come out and have such activities, whether conscious or unconscious, it is really being human in terms of seeking some companionship, some connection beyond just the screen.
How do you think like all of us can do our part again, like what I said, like do our part in fighting the virus together?
I think for me is to first be curious. Be curious about each other as a person, not as a thing, but just be curious about each other, like, oh, why did you do this? Or why did you choose to do that? Why did you say this?
Since we all cannot travel, right? I think it's more important for us to ask and be curious about the people that are living in our society and how we can, leverage on the opportunity that we have so many different cultures in one small little country.
If the reality is now we have a lot of media platforms, but at the same time, I wonder if the print media can go one step ahead of itself at this point in time to pivot their game as well, that they could be an educational piece.
Opportunities are everywhere, and I think it's really up to you to choose what you want to do for yourself or for your close ones or for the community.
Okay, so in this episode, we discussed about how we can avoid, blaming a certain group for the spike in COVID-19 cases, and as well, be curious about each other and about the people living in our community, especially in this season and beyond. So if you like what you watched today, or if you have any thoughts and comments about it, you can leave your comments down in the comment section down below, and share this video with your friends. And if you want to see more of these kind of videos, please subscribe to us.